Welcome, and thank you for joining me on the Spiritual Ninja podcast, where we have heart-to-heart conversations with people who live with spiritual depth and elite performance. Today, I'm really excited to have Vladimir and Valerie Vasiliev here. They have had a very huge impact in my life. I feel that Systema has transformed how I live my daily life, how I move. And prior to Systema, I was already very deep into a spiritual practice, but I felt like my body was very disconnected from that. Going from somebody that had a lot of injuries, that was going to quit martial arts, to being almost 61 and truly moving the best I've ever moved in my entire life. And I totally attribute that to Systema and Vladimir and Valerie and their work, and how my life is completely transformed because of Systema. And I have the opportunity to work with hundreds and hundreds of students of all ages. And because of Systema, the way our school trains is completely transformed. So I'm eternally grateful for their presence in my life and the Systema and how it's impacted my life and thousands of people that I work with. Thank you to both of you for being here.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for your dedication.
So one thing that I'm very interested in life is how people connect to the deepest thing possible in their life, their faith, their spirit, and their path on that and in that, and then how they apply that to their daily life and their work. So first, I just really want to go into the spiritual, the religious, the faith path. And I'm curious for each one of you, if you could reflect back to when this became very important to you in your life. Many people, it happens at a certain time, something changes, or they're introduced to somebody, or something happens in their life that provokes a deep religious or spiritual yearning. So for each one of you, if you can reflect back to when that started for you, and then if you'd be comfortable sharing your journey from there to now, and maybe the practices that you do in your religion and your faith and your internal path of your faith, if you will.
It's a very good question. It's I guess many ways when you go to the to God. For some people, they jump right away. They tell them, "Are you ready?" So yes, I'm ready. And it seems for them they didn't even know about that. But inside, it's like a light comes. Just at least I can see it. Some people think a lot. They think for some people you have to push them even, in a nice way, push them, because they don't have enough how to say, power or
Right.
something just to it's like kids, you have to grab by the hand and move them. It's many different ways. For me, I was just we sit in a church in a monastery, raised us
In Jerusalem.
in Jerusalem. Yeah, are you ready to baptize? And that's it. One night, because I wasn't ready. I never even think about baptize. It's just when you come to monastery, that monastery was very peaceful because it's just peaceful. It means I have a chance to understand that peaceful things all around the world. Lots of noise, lots of emotions, negative. Of course, plus awareness. But there was good. It was so good. People smiled to you. They happy to see you in that field, that monastery. And it shocked me because when I came from Soviet Union, we never think about religion. Who will talk. Suddenly people talk and I start to listen. I don't understand anything. To be honest with you, it's like, what are we talking about? To be peaceful, to feel, to have more love. I don't know what they're talking about. But step by step, it's like, when you jump, it's like you jump to the water, just water around you, and you don't know what to do. You can swim, but you don't know how to. You just survive. Maybe not that good example, but you don't go slowly there. You don't study. You don't read. You just jump. Like in a fight, you have to survive, and that's it. Maybe it's not a good example, right? Just, but idea was a different way to go to God. So for me, it was like that. And then step by step, it takes years to understand how good it is, how peaceful it is, especially when you study Systema. Because the whole idea of Systema, what Mikhail Ryabko told me, my teacher, he said, you need to remove any tension from you. But when you live a normal life, you create tension. You just argue with people, you argue with emotional stuff like that comes. And suddenly, when we start to work, the tension start to, couple times when I was tense, bad tension, I was injured. And I don't understand why, because maybe guy wasn't that good, but some emotions comes and I want to, show how good I am. It creates a problem, for stupid things. You don't need even to be like that. But ego, you need to be the best. You need to say, when the first time I heard Michael, I was embarrassed because he said it's not necessary to win. It's very important not to lose. It's not manly. Like, you need to win, you need to, maybe you lose, but you want to win. And then I understand that when you decide to win, you didn't train properly as much, because you cannot go too deep some internal work inside. That's what you study. And then I understand that because not to lose, it means you can continue to do the work, but you don't lose. Usually you lose yourself and you start to lose everything around you because, you want to win all the time. Again, my English is not that good to explain this properly. But Systema and Orthodoxy, I believe it's very close to each other. I mean, very close because they live like that. We move like that, So in a way, it's good enough.
Yeah, and then I want to ask you one more question, Vladimir, before Valerie shares her experience. So everything you said to me, I see and perceive from you in what you do in Systema. But I'm curious if somebody was to be able to be inside of you and see how you have your relationship with God and what your experience of that is, how would you explain how you connect to God, if you will, and how you do that and what is your experience of that?
First of all, it's very scary, because I understand if you're too dirty, it's like not dirty, but you did through your life many improper things, and you understand this is a little bit scary to go to bed, a little bit scared. Just for lots of people, they're afraid to go because they start to lose, I don't know, lose something.
The illusion.
Whatever. Yeah, Valerie will explain. So for me, it was the first experience. I remember, truly, when I started to feel it. I came to Montreal. Was an icon.
It was a MER streaming icon that was brought to Montreal, a miracle icon.
Yeah, it was just imagine piece of wood and start to cry and smells comes like the best perfume, and just was in front of us. But before, when I like around 1 hour, I just go to from bus station to monastery and I walk. And then I just pray, just because nothing was to do. I just constantly pray, Lord have mercy on me, Lord have mercy on me. And somehow, maybe it was a deepness of situation, maybe because of it's the first time. It's first time. Like I feel like a fire comes inside my body. I start to move all over the place. It's like I start to burn that tension, that fear, that something. It's like we always have doubts. Why I go? Life is okay too. It's not necessary to even fight more than you need because especially in the United States and Canada, we have a good life enough. Just we have. I remember when I came to Canada, it was shock for me when people go to Subway and always grab the cup of coffee and tea and the drink. It was such a peaceful atmosphere, because in Russia, everybody fights for everything, like even for a bus, they fight because it was cold everywhere. And suddenly you see that, it's not that the war like that happy, but they were relaxed, they were, comfortable, comfortable. So that was my first experience when I feel that fire comes inside my body, and I heard after that about this. And then the second experience was when you pray a lot. I mean a lot, especially when you go to monastery, like 5-6 hours, you just pray during one visit. And then during the day, it's like you pray around like 8 hours at least, just pray, stay in church and in the service. And then, and when you pray a lot, you have like a honey inside your mouth. Truly honey. First time when I heard this, I said, oh yeah, of course. I've done that. I feel it. It's like it's a little bit scary because is that true? One way you believe, not believe. The other way, it's okay like that.
So I've spoken to you about this before, but also if I hadn't, just hearing you speak right now, when somebody connects to their experience of God, if you will, there's a lightness, there's a light, there's a purity, there's love, and all the stuff, like you're saying, all the things that we think or do in the world that maybe aren't representing that the best that we know how to now in the past. It can feel really dirty, like you're saying, and it kind of purifies us. But I'm curious, like say today, if all of a sudden in your mind, things start going crazy and you're getting really judgmental or egotistical, whatever it may be for you personally, the things that interfere with you connecting, is your go-to, like if you pray, is that the way you deal with issues that come up for you personally and internally?
Now it's much easier, right? Because I start to be older and less energy comes to be upset, to be mad or something, but it's not necessary. And you start to be, I hope so, you start to be a little bit wiser. It's like you understand that you don't need to do this because it's like it's just your weakness, your ego, your, you like yourself too much that anything would touch you. It's like you start to be, oh, it's me. But what I do, I just pray constantly. It's like I create the wall between bad thoughts and my brain. Because the thought comes, but if you do, Lord have mercy on me, Lord have mercy on me, I just covered, and that thought cannot jump inside my head. I just always, pray. At least just with my, things.
Well, that makes total sense. Sometimes with the kids, I think you may know I use the river analogy a lot for people. And so when I'm hearing you speak, it's almost like this river of prayer is flowing and then like a thought comes in or negativity comes in, but your prayer is so strong that it doesn't really grab you. And then you have the wisdom now to go, hey, you know what? That's not going to take me where I want to go. I'm just going to focus on praying, and that's going to help me stay aligned.
Yeah, it just I'm still have doubts. I'm still have some weakness inside my body, but I know it's just because I'm weak. It's not because the God is not that strong. I just I'm weak, I have the problems with him. Why you cannot help me when it's so child things, But step by step, start to be less and less. It's like, I'm not give up. I'm still fighting for myself. But less and less because it's useless anyway. Just it's like imagine you always look in the window and you see a blue sky. That's the best way. It's like it's just blue sky. It's like touch your soul, touch your body. You make yourself like you wanna fly. See, that's at least for me, because see for us, you do Systema, I do Systema. It's like a lightness is very important in our movement. I remember Mikhail Ryabko said, "Oh, remember, Jesus Christ said in the Bible said when he walks, like not even one,
Yeah, not even one thread of grass was touched, right? It was just above it.
So when I work with Michael, he once or two times showed me that he didn't even touch me, but he touched me, and I start to move with like, but it was so elegant, so clean, so I would say unhuman. It's like you start to be afraid, because you always grab people, you create tension. He can work a little bit different, and he said this because of his beliefs.
Yeah.
So Valerie, if we start back at the beginning, if you reflect back for yourself, if you look back at your own religious experience and faith, and there's something in your life that provoked that, and then if you could share your journey from there to now, as far as your experience and how you practice your faith.
Okay. I think for me, it was really easy. I was always looking for the meaning of life, so to speak. That's why I went to university, got a psychology degree, then a physiotherapy degree. So I wanted to do the spiritual side of things and the physical, and didn't really find any good answers until Vladimir introduced me to Mikhail Ryabko. And then he said, well, you're looking for all this. Have you read the gospel? I said, oh, forget it. Why would I need the gospel? I have 2 degrees. I have a great job, a great family. Read the gospel. And then he kept after me immediately. And finally I said, okay, just because I like and respect you, I'll do it. And then I said, okay, well, this is it. That was everything that I was looking for and beyond a lot more. So I read it to our kids and we all got baptized. And it's been the best thing that has happened to me. Mikhail Ryabko is our godfather for the entire family, myself and kids. And I've been in communication with him constantly for the spiritual advice, for any kind of communication. And it's this power that comes behind you when you join with God. People talk about spiritual life, but the main spirit is God. So how can there be anything spiritual if you're not with God? Then it's a delusion. So all the meditations and that most people do in our way, but that's not connecting with the main spirit that there is, God.
Yeah, I find it very interesting because I've spoken to different people of, say, a different religion or a path, and to me, what I personally perceive is people that are really with God.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lightness, there's a humility, there's a we-ness, like we're here helping
Yeah.
each other, and it's so beautiful. And every time, Vladimir, you speak of Michael, I didn't really understand it at first because I wasn't aware of some of the inner workings that you all were doing. But there was always a lightness and humility and a respect beyond the physical. And it makes so much sense to me hearing you share right now that he was somebody that was embodying the faith and being so committed to God. And it happened to be that he was a general in the military and all these incredible fighting skills. But the priority was that he was a man of God. And that impacted both of you. And you both illuminate that light in your own way, being a woman and a man of God. And I find that so beautiful because there's such a humility and such a strength and such a depth that you can't get from a technique. Just like in Systema, you're not learning a technique, you're learning how to move naturally, how to rest into the most beautiful way that a human being can move and be connected to somebody. And then it's applied to martial arts. But in the beginning, it's God, it's a spirit. And then you're moving from that place, and you can't move in the freedom that I see Vladimir moving. I experience in my own way from technique or from being a person and being an ego. You can't. It's like trying to move like the river or the ocean. You can't create a technique to do that. You have to let go of everything that's not pure.
And we found that some of the best Christians that we know are warriors. So Systema warrior spirit just goes so well with becoming a warrior of Christ.
No, you know that so when I met lots of people when I start to travel, go to from one monastery to another monastery, especially in Mount Athos, the monks sometimes they're not that friendly to you. They're not friendly to you. It's just because they see you as who you are, and they share with you something. You need to fix that. You need to because it's like you come in a hospital and some doctors start to cut your skin just to remove it. So you come for help. Suddenly they start to cut you. You said you don't understand what happened, because they want to remove some bad things to you. So it's like it's not that sometimes too much human things comes to you because God start to heal you from all over the place. Like you think, oh, it's a heaven. No, this heaven will slap you sometimes in the head, and you think it's not a heaven. It's like whoa. Because you have your own mistakes, you have your own, fortunately, wrong view on that service or belief or something. That's why it's important to, like my wife said, to read Bible all the time and read books with saints because they tell you how
Lives of saints.
How much mistakes they go through because it wasn't that simple. It's like what we do in martial arts. One day is good, the other day is like nothing you can do. Even they show to you you're useless. It's like so embarrassing, right? And the person's not that strong, but somehow it's all our life to teach you how to be to be a diamond, something just to cut, that's it.
Yeah, it's interesting when you mention Mount Athos. My father-in-law's been there many times, and every time he comes back and we connect, I can see that the light, the purity, the simplicity of the people he's spending time with there vibrationally changes him when he gets back. And then when we speak about it, I can see that he is so touched by what he experiences there.
You can see the difference between, him when he travel, not to travel. It's a big deal because for some people, they didn't see it. So the cyclet means you can look around. see, because when we were in the army or something, just very important to find the person who can look around. Because mostly people sit inside themselves. They, they cannot go outside.
Yeah.
And secondly, when it's like people come to you and training with you. After that, they feel much better. Different energies, different friendship, different something, competition. Even that makes them strong. So, but spiritual, it's a little bit. It's in a way, it's different because spirit for us is just something when you cannot grab, you cannot even touch. It's something. For example, when I came a couple times from Mount Athos, it's like I feel like a whiteness in my chest. Truly, I feel whiteness, but it was just for 1 day and a half or something, not that long. But even that creates like an incredible different feeling of the life. It's like, that exists, it's very good to go there because you feel like you're above the sky. Yeah, that's feeling creates you above the sky.
Yeah, it's amazing, amazing.
That's why every time when I ask people, what do you feel? Believe or not, it's not there. When you come back home, that's the start like here. Come back home, not on a plane, not want to go away from Mount Athos, live in a city close to that place. No, it's worth it. It just you start to be more peaceful. It's like to be worried about. Because imagine the main prayers said, bread for just today, for today. Imagine, I will live by future. By future, always worriedness comes because you don't know what will be in the future, and you worry all the time.
Yeah,
so you're tired of this. So
yeah, it gets back to the basics, right? Of putting God first and then doing simple actions, not getting so busy, so complicated, so in our head, sprinting life. You get back to what's important.
It's so hard because everything around us to think about future, study this, study that, think about future, university, pension, and then you die. Think where you will die. Buy the place to the land to die. And people just okay. And nobody lives now. It's like, just once through my life, I saw one person who can live now. It's not one couple, but one day Mikhail Ryabko showed me. He was so relaxed. I said, Michael, why are you so relaxed? Because it's like obviously too relaxed, like
even for him.
Even for him, because it was deepness of because he said, I live now. No, we went to some, one place also, we left to some restaurant and there was very good food. I mean, incredible food. And Michael was so peaceful inside, said, what happens with it? That's good food. Yeah, I enjoy now. Not to say, come back, because I enjoy now. It's privilege to be now, it's privilege. But we live like that anyway, it's like nobody live in the future. Nobody live in the past. We live now. But in the thoughts, we are somewhere.
No, that's one thing I've experienced in myself, but also speaking to men or women of God, if you will. There's such a lightness. They're just in the moment. It's like they're the moment. They're not this person trying to do something or prove something. There's a youthful innocence. And then there's also a very deep wisdom. So it's just magical. It's like the purest expression of God that we can be by just being in the moment, honoring love and God, if you will. And I think that you see that in people when they're at such deep rest, like they don't need to prove anything. And for me, it always feels like the deepest home, like I'm resting into home with God. And then if I go into a room that's full of dirt and diseases and stuff like that, that's kind of when I'm trying to do something for myself. I need to prove something or I need to be somebody. But when I just rest into home, it's like you just want to honor love and God and not dirty that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I believe if we truly talk about that, right, it's much, unfortunately, deeper, and it's not that how easy to be with Jesus Christ. It's not that easy.
Yes.
Basically, once you're on that path, it's not all peachy and beautiful and full of light. You got to take your armor and do the work. So sometimes, of course, we all have troubles and sorrows and lose our loved ones and so on. So there's a battle there to fight.
You mentioned earlier about Christian warriors, if you will. And when I share with people about Systema, and when I share from my perspective that it starts with the spirit, if you will, and then it builds out to this freedom in ourselves, and then also having this very acknowledging God and the other person, this deep respect and not wanting to hurt anyone's mind, body, spirit, if you will. And then people say, well, I don't understand how it's a martial art. Then I don't understand how you can say what you're saying and it be, a combat art or fighting art or self-defense, whatever it is. And I don't know if I do the best job other than saying you would only use that to protect yourself or your loved ones or your country. So just like you're saying about going to God when things come up and if you see yourself doing something that's not right, you may say you have to stop that, or someone else says stop that. But I'm curious how you all explain that. How do you be a man and woman of God? And then for you all, you're just like me too. We make our livelihood teaching martial arts, if you will.
But you also, being with God means that you take the advantage of the holy mysteries offered in church. You can't just call yourself fully with God if you're not part of the church. So we, every Sunday, as much as possible, we do confession and take Holy Communion. And Holy Communion is the food for the soul.
It's medicine, yeah.
And that's what feeds the soul. The rest is a bit of an illusion. And you feel it when you take it. You feel different. It's not like anything else. And then this is the food to fight.
And usually, that's a very good question, actually. There's always confused lots of people how we can protect something. Just God even, died because of, he can destroy everything, but he died, he showed the way, right? To be honest with you, a weak human, of course, ego comes, and it's not because of you even, just maybe you don't want to do that, but something inside you stand up and you have to fight, and you don't even, people ask you, why are you doing this? I don't even remember, it's like you're drunk, you're drunk, it's not you. So this actually, what helps me is just call my priest, ask him what I should do. Because he's like he's an officer in a way, like he tell me what is good, see it, don't go there. But it's hard to hear him because you have your own opinion too, your own ego, your own, because certain things, for example, I know what's stronger than me. Somebody will come to my family, I will protect because it doesn't matter what, but it's because I cannot live after that. Because I cannot do that. Just for me, I know that I will die anyway. It's better to die, in the war than to, just to protect yourself. It's normal question. That's what I like. Thanks to you, you ask proper questions. Recently, I said more and more and more. System helps other people to come to God because they remove tension. If you remove tension because it's ego, it's like emotions, start to fight, and suddenly you fight, no doubts, but you less and less tense. So you move better, you like a body feel better, you're not afraid of as much. It's pure road to the God because we have more than 100
God children.
Imagine. And
it's very beautiful, very beautiful.
Yeah, they come, they ask, and suddenly, of course, yeah.
So is it fair to say, like I'm also, as I'm saying this, trying to put it together in a clear way for myself and people to share about it, but it's like, let's just use you two in Systema. So you are a man and woman of faith of God, and you have your spiritual practice and your prayers and the Bible and church. And sorry if I'm saying in a way that's not elaborating it beautifully, but you have this very powerful practice and experience and dedication in your life. And then your medium for your work is Systema. And when you teach Systema, you do your best to be in prayer, in God, and you're helping other people release tension and stress through Systema to allow them to rest into maybe being more open to God. And then since we're using Systema as the medium, if somebody needs to protect themselves or others or their country, whatever it may be, they're skilled to do that. But it's not a martial art just for self-defense. It's the byproduct of using Systema as the medium to get closer to God and releasing tension and stress, and then being able to use those skills. But it's not like, come learn martial arts. It's like, come get rid of your stress and interference so you can be a better person and hopefully be open to having a relationship with God as well.
You know, in the beginning, when I'm a teacher, right? I come to the room and I have to be in a good mood, because if I'm in a bad mood, it's not, because it's not just meeting people, it's a business, because you live because of this, right? So you need to be in a different level of the meeting some people. Basically, I believe one day Michael said, we're like a books, everything written inside us. It's just, some people open the proper page and he can read who you are right away, or certain situation you show who you are. What I know, at least for me, God always behind me, through my understanding, through my feeling. God behind me, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried I do wrong things. But I know he's behind me. It's not like it because I'm, God behind. No, I know that because I feel the power behind me, and that's it. That's good enough. Valerie wants to tell something.
Okay. The reason that Systema brings people to God oftentimes, because it makes people look inside of themselves.
Yeah.
And what's inside God. If you look deep enough, that's what it is. And also, someone asked Mikhail Ryabko, does a person have to be Orthodox Christian to do Systema? His answer was no. Anyone can do Systema, any religious belief. But if you want to understand it to the full depth, you gotta be. That was his answer. I was translating. That's why I remember the answer.
Yeah, I know, Vladimir, I've spoken about this before. For whatever reason, I've always had this experience of being universal, different things in college when people are like, oh, you should be part of this club or that club. I'm like, no, I just want to honor everyone's path and also be as the best person that I can be. And so looking at Mikhail Ryabko, he found this amazing life in himself doing exactly what you're talking about. So he's a beautiful example of this path of using Christianity to become the most incredible, powerful person he could be, and using Systema as the medium, because I don't know all the details, but my understanding that you guys were involved with some heavy stuff in the military and all that. And for him to be such a light man. And I think one of the videos I saw, he just got back from war and it looked like he was a kid, at the playground or something, but with the power of like a whole army. And so he's a beautiful example. And I see the reverence you all have, and it makes sense to me. And I see you all very dedicated to doing the same thing, right? You're on this beautiful path of honoring God through Russian Orthodox and using Systema as your medium, which is phenomenal. I want to ask, Vlad, you mentioned about this book, right? And like open a book of your life. And if we just look at our life as like a message or a book, how do you want people to see the message of your life, if you will?
There's a really beautiful analogy from Elder Paisios, one of the saints, Greek saint. So he was asked a similar question, and he said he sees himself as these rusty pipes through which the grace of God flows.
Beautiful. Yeah. Very beautiful.
So that was great. Yeah.
Very profound.
And other things, it's just when the people tell you how good you are, right? It's just, you cannot say, no, I'm not like that. You know that you're not like that, but you expect it.
Right. So when someone praises you, Elder Paisios says, try to remember what they praise you for so that you become that. And then second rule, don't say, oh no, I'm not like that. What you say, because then they'll think you're humble and you're not.
No, I believe, just to be in that path, you stay path, for example, if people suggest to you, try to pray. And you said prayer, I'm not even, I don't go to church. I don't even baptize, stuff like that. But if the people tell you to pray because they can see you, it will help you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Come to church with us. No, I'm not, I don't know how to even cross myself, because some people, because they live in that darkness, they cannot even take the Bible in their hands. They cannot, because Bible has their own light, right? Because what comes to the God have the light of the God, right? And then it's very hard for people to go to church, it's light. That light is different light. It's not like a light from the lamp or something. Not allow them to step. So you need to remember that very famous story when the Mary of Egypt, right?
Saint Mary of Egypt
couldn't couldn't go to the church.
Entrance church, yeah.
Yeah, everybody can go.
She tried 3 times, yeah.
Yeah, 3 times. So it's very nice. It's not everything that's simple, like, because if you cannot go, something lives inside you. Said next time, not to worry, tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, and even just like on a physical level, last time you and I spoke, Vladimir, you said, "Oh, Jonathan, you have like a little holding here." And right away, my brain goes, I mean, I was totally open to hearing you, but my brain's like, "Oh no, my heart's very open." And then after I got off the phone with you, I've been very aware of just having of when I'm moving, I'm like, "Oh, I can let go here more and be deeper in my movement from the inside and deeper, lower inside." And you saying that to me, it's different, but still a similar thing of like, "Oh no, I'm okay." And it's like, no, like keep letting go of interference, of tension, of me. And it's scary. But like when people say things to me like, "Oh, Jonathan, you're whatever, a great teacher," or this or that, on a very deep level, I know that if any of that's true, it's because somehow I'm honoring God in that moment. Because if it was me, I would just be insecure, trying to prove myself and feeling insecure and feeling jealous and competitive. So I know when people say that, somehow they're seeing something that I'm trying to honor. And so I'm just like, yes, thank you. But I know it's not me, because me would be like, please like me. Tell me I'm a good teacher. Right.
Yeah,
and I know that's
nice. Anyway, it's nice to hear it.
Yeah. It makes, when you were talking about showing up to class, sometimes I know, like last night I was teaching and I wasn't totally clear and totally, like you're saying, how we like to show up to teach. And I could see in the class, the vibration was different. And, I have a responsibility to myself, to God, to Systema, to everything that's important to me to show up in the best way that I can. And that's what I teach every day. And if I've like, wow, I fell short last night. And so instead of judging it, it's like, no, learn and show up, right? I'll go teach after this today. Show up. Don't beat myself up and then do it again, right? Like
you make yourself stronger too. You don't give up, right? You just you make yourself stronger. Because I see for us, some people ask what the main exercise is Systema for these days. At least for me, I said, believe it or not, tension and relaxation. So you tense up yourself, relax yourself. At least you know the difference. I believe one of the exercises we did recently, when, for example, we grab each other by hands or something, we both of us supposed to be tense, like tense. Truly, like a movement should be so slow. It's like I put my hands here, I want to punch you, and you redirect my movement, stuff like that. Very, very tense, like extremely tense. And then one person should be relaxed, the other tense. Because sometimes you can be afraid, you can be, but at least you can move yourself. Both relax, and then completely relaxation comes. When completely relaxation comes, they both start to be tense. That's very
so interesting.
At least they know. Relax, tension.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah, I find myself, you may feel like, I feel like I'm a broken record on some level to people where I'm like push-ups, squats, sit-ups, leg raises, breathe in, squeeze, breathe out, relax, all variations of that all the time for anything. If I go teach a corporate event, I'm doing that. If I'm going to teach school teachers, I'm doing that. If I'm teaching martial arts, I'm doing that. It's everything to me. I use that for everything I teach all the time.
Very smart. Because people don't understand the simplicity and deepness. So unfortunately, every simple thing's very deep. Because simplicity always covers the deepness. If you see some simple things, try to look for deepness, because it's like so sneaky. It's like covered right away. It's like when you read Bible and certain things so simple. Like how you did that? That's it.
That's right on. So I was going to say that at Life Keto, we teach like the 3 Bs, and I apply that to everything, including Systema, the body, breathing, brain. But I tell people like there's so many layers to each B. Like there's so many layers to your body, to being free. There's so many layers and adaptations to breathing. And then to your brain could be like your best friend or your biggest enemy. If you focus on God and good things, it becomes your best friend. If you focus on other things, it becomes your biggest enemy. So I really try to help people see in themselves there's many layers to all of this, and whatever layer you want to go into, there's always more.
I like find the way more. I don't have too much brain. Sorry to say that. Not just like I wanna have. And that's when I ask Michael I always ask. So it's better to find wisdom. But wisdom, it's like we have wisdom most of the time outside of our body. So it means it's a first way you look to the wisdom people you need to find. For example, I'm happy to work with you, with my wife, and your both in a way. For now, you are quite wisdom, and you speak is very interesting for me to listen to you and my wife. So, but one guy told me that the wisdom is sometimes it's like a little bit outside of your body. So it means wisdom. It's in any animals, any trees, because it's how they grow up. It's wisdom. It's like it's impossible for them to grow something. It's very interesting too. Brain it's always with you, but wisdom, it's unfortunately.
Yeah. So another topic I think is directly related to Systema is relationships in our life, like you two, husband and wife, having children. And we have, as I'm sure you've experienced, the opportunities to be godly with each other and to be in some beautiful parts of humanity and some parts of humanity that get like the darkest part of us come out with each other. And is there anything that you all can share in your experience of, if you will, with your marriage or anything in relationships that you feel has helped you along the way to improve your relationship as far as communication and being more godly and not letting your own personal baggage, if you will, ruin a relationship or ruin the relating with somebody, and how you improve that?
When you read Bible, everything starts to be very simple. If you read, if you understand. If you don't read, if you don't understand, you have your own roads, paths, steps, everything. You need to see, for example, my relationship with life when I just born, it was not that simple. Live in a bad school, stuff like that. My own, survival skills, stuff like that. My own weakness. It depends what family you're born. It's not that simple, everything, but step by step, you start to understand more how to live more properly, and you don't have, proof to tell I'm better and I'm, I don't know how to say, but we are humans. We have sometimes mistakes, but more or less we live okay.
Yeah, thank God everything's fine. Basically, take all the troubles and the sorrows as your medicine.
Sure.
Yeah, don't ever be upset or try not to be upset about it. This is inevitable. You have to take it. It's either because of our own past sins and mistakes, or maybe our parents, or maybe someone else's. For whatever reason, no, we just have to take it. And when the kids were little, we had this game, and I found this really useful for adults too. It's again based on the teaching of Elder Paisius, the factory of good thoughts. So in any bad situation, like we're late in traffic to an important event, and then the kids are in the back all worried, they say, okay, find 3 good things about this situation. And they think about it and they find at least 3 good things, and it just keeps happening. So I found that's a great approach. Always find something good in every situation, and despair is the worst quality. So if you go into that depression, despair, that's so useless. There's so hard to get out of it. So don't let yourself go to that stage ever. And that keeps the family happy.
You just two things usually we have, or we blame ourselves, or we blame partner right in front of you, or husband, wife. So just like my wife said, don't stay too long because I start to eat too much, and it's create like a holes. It's like you put the nail inside the woods, and then even when you remove it, the hole's still there, unfortunately. But step by step, if your body alive, if your brain alive, you create that, как сказать, они, тогда все соединяется.
Everything connects.
Everything connects. It's like a cut, and then skin comes close, and then, so that's it. But all over, so far, okay.
I love how you did that.
33 years together.
Yeah. When I see pictures, I mean, now too, but when I see pictures of you in your travels, I'm always like, I feel my heart be touched and open up because I see in yourselves, but also with each other, that magic, that light, that love. And when Valerie spoke about the despair, it made me think of Systema because, and the good thoughts, because despair creates a contraction in our brain. It's tension. And when you focus on God or prayer or a positive thought, it's an openness and expansiveness. It's like exhale. You exhale, you can move, you hold your breath. It's tension, right?
Very good.
So to me, it's so beautiful. Systema gives us that framework to see everything. God does, but Systema gives you this human physical form to see everything through, because everything is tension or relaxation. I know, like Valerie, earlier, you also mentioned when you were seeking in school and everything before you met Michael, you're like, what's the meaning of life? What's the purpose of life? This whole experience of God and planet Earth and us being here. I mean, it just, if we just step back and get out of our lives and just look at it, it's this crazy, mystical, magical creation. It's just unbelievable that we can even be bodies talking to each other through these screens and even partially understanding each other. Somehow in this mystery of God and life, I think as humans, we do have this thing of, what am I here for? What's the purpose of life? What am I supposed to do? We want our life to have meaning, and we hope to become a better person and also to make everything around us a little better if we can. How would you help people find that in themselves?
Look at that. When you know a person, the purpose of life, or at least on the right path of searching for it, it gives you peace. That's what gives you calmness, because you know where you're going. So that's a big thing. It's important to look for that.
Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong. So let's say using the Russian Orthodox, they're like, oh, I'm going to go to church and I'm going to do this. And they go there and something says, wow, this is giving me that peace I'm looking for. This is the right path for me. Is that like their experience of it? Is that what you're sharing about as a reflection?
You have to try it. Every person has to go to church if he's interested or she interested in the meaning of it, has to go and feel it. Open the gospel and read it. And then if God calls, and it's not even a sin to say, God, if you exist, open up to me. It's okay to say that.
It's in the Bible.
Yeah. It's okay. Close the door, sit quietly and say, okay, God, if you exist, let me know. And it's okay to search like that.
But be afraid, because sometimes
but God gives you what you can take, so it's fine. Nothing to be afraid of. Yeah.
You can take if you understand.
Yeah. and if you need help, then you ask, someone, a spiritual person in your life, a mentor who is there.
I have another God question for you, and I haven't asked other people this necessarily, but it's just something that I personally, like if I was to feel sad about something, I think the biggest thing would be that a man or woman of God and another man or woman of God, different paths, if you will, somehow think that their God's telling them to attack another person of God, like as far as a religion fighting a religion. And I'm not very well versed in the different religions, but to me, it seems like there's one God, one magical spark of all of life. And it seems like then from that, humans do what they do with it. But to use God's name to attack another person because they have a different name of their God or something, it seems like the opposite of God. It seems like it's the worst thing you can do is kill someone by saying that their God is wrong and your God is right.
Mm-hmm. Saint Nicholas the Serbian, right? He said, you should never tell people about your God, but you should live so that they ask.
That's so beautiful.
So, yeah, you should not impose on anyone, but if they ask, okay, then you share.
And you should understand, so in front of you, human too, it has, maybe wrong view, maybe wrong something inside him. There's lots of people like that. Just accept that, It's like Valerie said, don't talk about this. If you start to lose yourself, so what's the point? It's like you start to go to an ice, you cannot walk, you cannot run. That's it. You cannot even be tense. You will fall.
That's right on.
Like a situation, when you should stay completely relaxed inside. And pray. The best way when I see that some situation comes, even I tell my students, and they're happy to hear that. When you come to the room where they're full of people, full of your bosses, stuff like that, what you do, you just pray before. Lord, have mercy on me, and a little breathing is important too, because sometimes you believe, not believe, and God maybe didn't hear you that fast or something. But breathing is always with you. You do inhale, exhale. When you feel something, create less inside to your body. No tension, because tension easy to hit. Boom, easy to hit. And when you light, you can always escape. You can always, so open the door and come inside, and you will come in that atmosphere inside you when people start to make smiles, because you're inside quite, relaxed.
Yeah, it is. That's the thing, like you always say, like Systema is so simple, but it's so profound and so remarkable and applicable to everything, just like being a person of God is applicable to everything. And that's one of my biggest drives of this podcast. I think some people that are very, super religious in a way that they're avoiding life, they're like, oh no, the world is fake. It's like, well, you're here, live fully and, be a person of God in life. Don't avoid life. And then some people are like, oh, I'm too busy for God. I have to run my company or whatever it is, right? And I believe personally that if you're a person of God, of love, that whatever you're doing in the world, you can do better. And it's a mirror to purify you, because all the areas where you're not being in that get exposed. Like, hey, you're being selfish, you're being greedy, you're whatever, you're trying to get attention, and it gets exposed. The tension gets exposed. And so your work, my work, anyone's work is the perfect practice. Your family, my family is the perfect practice to practice being in God and being mirrored where you're being dirty right now. How could you purify that? So I'm thankful that at some point in my life, I realized they're not separate. Your faith is not separate from your day.
The hardest part to understand you're dirty or you're грех.
Sinful.
That's the hardest part, because I didn't kill anybody. I didn't do anybody,
Did it steal?
I didn't steal, so, okay, if like that. Thanks to you. It's hard to talk to people like that. Even it's not necessary to spend time. That's it. Just make soft smile, not smile with irritation, not smile. You need to study how to smile properly too, with eyes, with with face, with position of your body, and then you relax people. You don't. He has that education. He has that stability on this, because he's stable on this. I remember when Mikhail Ryabko asked him why you cannot show this guy, because he said he will lose stability. He will whole his life he will destroy. He has, for example, very good karate skills. If I will show him that this karate skills are good, but he's not ready, he will be upset whole his life, and he will create lots of stories, lots of
justifications, because there's nothing to replace that.
Yeah, because he didn't live there, and he didn't even want to take that. Okay, forgot he's like that, It's like, listen, trees, animals, we're all different, So it means God accept, As long if you want to be closer to God, that's a different story.
Yeah, I remember some time ago, you and I spoke, and you were saying how scary it is. Like the scariest prayer or whatever it is like, God, I want to give you everything. Or I don't remember the exact prayer, but you said it's so scary because you're basically saying, like, want to give up anything that's not being that. And I remember once when I first met this person of God, and they were talking to me, and they said, well, you need to let go of your ego. And I go, why? But I like my ego. I didn't even know what he meant. And he laughed. And they're like, it's like, I like my ego. And they're like, no, but you can't take that to God. And I was like, what do you mean? And then, through the years, I'm like, oh, yes, that interferes with me being in God, right? And interferes.
Imagine, school, they teach you to be, create ego, you need to fight. When you do sport, it's
win,
ego, create, spirit, stuff like that. It's normal.
Well, I so appreciate both of you, and personally your work and your dedication, and also how Systema has, again, completely transformed my life. There's different times and people you can look at in your life and say, wow, like you guys talk about Mikhail Ryabko, different things that come into your life. And when I first heard of God, I was so lost. I was such a lost, confused person. And that like changed my life forever to become the most important thing. And I'm so thankful and feel blessed that happened, because I could have happened. Right. But then there was a split in my body. Like my body didn't know how to do that. And Systema is this vehicle for freedom in every level, mind, body, spirit.
Very poetic.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
No brain, eh?
I want to show, this is what we have in our office. We have this beautiful big portrait
Mhm.
very peaceful face.
Mhm.
It's always in front of us.
Yeah, always with us.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
This gentleman, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so beautiful to have somebody in your life that showed you a way that you know to be truer, but you didn't know it was there and you didn't know how to get there. You didn't know it was there, but you didn't know a path. For somebody to come into your life and say, hey, Vladimir and Valerie, you guys have been looking for this and I could help you. It's such a gift for you all to have Michael and for Michael to have such dedicated people to what he was offering and sharing. And that to me is, I think, the most godly, beautiful thing we could do in a relationship is honor that as much as we possibly can. And I think you two are beautifully dedicated to that. And as a result of that, I think the work that you do it has so much purity to it, and you don't have to put on any kind of facade. It's just very simple and powerful and beautiful and clear.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
My pleasure. Is there anything else you all would like to share about anything that I didn't ask you or you didn't get a chance to share?
It's good enough.
So if God is number one in your life, everything else takes its place, right? That's the teaching.
That's true.
And then another one, very important, our priest, Father Vladimir, he says that a humble man is close to God. And he didn't say a religious man, Orthodox man. He said a humble man is close to God. So that's an important lesson.
Yeah, I'll trust him.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful.
That's why he treats everyone with absolute high respect.